All right, guys, what's going on? We're here. We're live. Welcome to a brand new Poker Live podcast. My name is Jungleman, aka Chicago Joey. Before we get into the introduction here, I want to let you guys know I for some reason, I decided to treat this with some professionalism, and I started planning things out in advance, which is first time in a couple years I've done this. So this week we got Liv Boeree coming on Friday. Next week, I think we're going to have Phil Galfond on next week. I'm not sure on the specific date. And also a couple guys who somewhat play poker, but they're mainly outside of poker. I'm going to have my buddy Ryan Marks on. He's in an electronic DJ group called Loud Pack. And my buddy Quentin Husky Mudkips. He's a YouTube Minecraft end boss, and he's one of my good friends. And then the first week before NFL Week 1, I'm going to have DFS week. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have Max Dorian, who is debatably the best DFS player, depends who you ask. My buddy Asani Fisher is also one of the best in DFS right now. Ryan Dott, Jonathan Bales, Evan Silva, Adam Leviton. For you guys that follow DFS, you know those names. But let's get into it, man. Joining me on the podcast, finally, is a young gentleman who without him, the World Series of Poker this year would not have been as fun to follow along with. He probably made WSOP.com at least a couple $1,000s in extra traffic from people refreshing. He is definitely one of the sickest motherfuckers that I know in the poker world. He's been grinding, working hard for a long time, had great results, debatably had the biggest summer of his life, and we're going to find out all about it. Jason Mercier is on the podcast. What's up, Jason? Welcome, man.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me on. It's about time I formally got the invite from you, you know?
I feel like that's not true. Like, technically, I've been like, hey, you should come on the podcast a couple times. And you're like, yeah, okay. But you're right. It was never like a formal, official sort of thing.
I was just waiting, man. Just waiting.
Kid, you've been busy, buddy. You had an adventurous summer, didn't you?
Yeah, it was definitely a very fun, interesting, and profitable summer for sure.
Very profitable summer, huh? So for those people that okay, I don't know who doesn't know what happened this summer, but so basically going into summer, you had a bunch of different side bets. You had a very large publicized bet with Vanessa Selbst where you had to win 3 bracelets, but you also had bets where you had to win 1 bracelet or 2 bracelets, right?
Sure. I had made, after I made the bet with Vanessa, which was like in January at the Bahamas, I decided, I was like, okay, well, it'd be kind of dumb to just have this one bet, because like if I end up like not winning one halfway through, I may just be like, screw it, I'm just gonna like play cash and whatever, like this bet's gone. So I decided I was gonna try to get a bunch of bets on like winning 1 or maybe even winning 2. So there's like a 4-month period before the World Series even started where I was like kind of fishing around, like throwing out feeler bets here and there, and I ended up getting like a couple small bets, not small but not like huge bets on winning 2 bracelets, where I got like 19-1 and 18-1 on winning 2. And then right before the summer, I still didn't have any bets on winning 1. I posted that I wanted to get 3-1 on winning 1, and also that I would take myself against anybody. I would lay like a small price, 1.05 or 1.1, whatever, depending on who you took. If you wanted to take like Joe Schmo, I would probably lay like, 4-1 or something, But I just was like looking for any sort of extra action on myself. So I ended up getting a decent amount of action right away on myself against Stephen Chidwick. A lot of his friends wanted to bet on him against me. So we had some bets on like per bracelet, basically, where, you had to pay out a certain amount per bracelet, which ended up working out very nicely because I won 2, he won 0. And then throughout the series, I continued to make bets. Like when I bricked the first 5 tournaments, I was like posting on Twitter saying that I'll take even worse odds. Like I was asking for like 2.7-1 on winning 1. And even after I won the first one, I made more bets on winning another one, which was kind of nice because I won the next one like right after. And yeah, it was just making a lot of side bets, winning some, losing a few at the end. But yeah, it worked out nicely.
So I got to say, buddy, there was at one point in time, like, I mean, it's fucking incredible. You won the first bracelet. The next event, you got second in. And then the next event, you got first in.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just, I mean, you know, they were the fields. They were like, what were they? How many people were in the fields? Was it 100, a couple hundred around that number?
I think the first two, the one that I got first in, and the one that I got second in, they both had exactly 100 players.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one that I won was the 10K horse, which had like maybe 160 or 170, I would say. So yeah, I mean, it's not like completely impossible, obviously, but yeah, it was definitely the best like week of poker that I've ever had in my life, for sure.
So it's kind of incredible how people can get that extra motivation by making these prop bets. And I know that's something that I've always done my whole entire basic poker career is I always make these prop bets, and then all of a sudden it turns out I do things that maybe I wouldn't have normally done. It's so weird, but without those bets, it's like, it's so weird that it's like you wouldn't do it, or you won't have the incentive to do it. But all of a sudden you make these extra bets, and then you're like, and then you like go out of your mind and you have this best week of your life sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that one thing that the bets help me do is like just maintain focus when I want to just like, punt the tournament. Like, or even like when I register a tournament after a very defeating loss or a defeating bust out, it's just like, okay, I'm not going to mail this one in because like, I'm tilted. Let's just like refocus, and like, it just gives me that extra incentive to always be playing my A game. And even like also to register the tournament, like after I lost heads up in the 10K Raz, I was like pretty devastated and just like, oh man, like the 10K horse is like about to close in like an hour, and I don't want to play. I'm so tired and just defeated, but I just have to play it. And it's like, there's only 2 more hours to play. So as long as I like, I'm either going to bust or like double my stack or like, I don't have to play that many hands to just get through the night. So like, let's just go in there, put my headphones on, make a couple jokes to people and whatever, and try to win a few hands. And I ended up like, start with 50,000 in the 10K horse. I ended up bagging like 160 or 170. And then, got a good night's rest and just woke up ready to crush the next day.
So after you won that second bracelet, that was had to be a couple weeks still left in the series. So the big bet you have is with Vanessa Selbst. That was, if you win 3 bracelets, you won, how much would you have won? Was it 2 million or 2?
I was going to win 1.8 million on that bet, just that bet.
Okay. So that's a pretty large amount of money to win in a prop bet. So obviously at that point, you're probably feeling extremely optimistic, like, holy fuck, I cannot believe I'm going to win 3 fucking bracelets and win this $1.8 million. So from there on out, I think you went pretty deep in a couple other ones, but I guess from that point on, did you start feeling even extra pressure on yourself? Like, wow. And do you feel like you were still playing in your best game, or do you feel like it may have had an effect on you in a couple of situations?
I don't think that it really affected me much, besides the fact that I may have been playing a little differently, but I was always trying to play optimally, keeping in mind the bets. So like, there was a couple spots where I would be like semi-deep in a tournament, 30 left or something, and it's like, okay, do I push this very high variance spot? Well, it's like, okay, second place is 100,000 and first is like 250 in this tournament, but actually for me, first is 2.5 million. So like, there's all this money extra for winning the tournament. So a lot of times I would just be like playing these very high variance spots and like, trying to put in extra bets and whatnot in these limit games where some people might look at me like, what the hell is he doing? Where I'm just thinking like, okay, I'm either going to like get a big stack or like bust, or, I just played a lot of hands differently than I would, but it's always like in keeping in mind that I have all this extra money up top and have to win the tournament.
I guess it's like a unique situation because you could approach it from that standpoint where you may be trying to ramp up the variance in some spots in order to get a bigger stack. I mean, I guess there's some merit to if you get down to that 30 point, maybe you almost like decrease the variance in a way and try to get to get to that top 10 standpoint and then try to potentially go upon that route if you're short stacked.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's I mean, either way, you still got to run exceptionally well.
Oh,
So.
of course. And I was just happy that, I was giving everybody a sweat, giving myself a chance to potentially win that much. I mean, like, I won the second bracelet with 30 events left or something and ended up getting 8th, 11th. I was deep in the 50K, where first is like 1.3 million, but also an extra 2.5 for me. And I ended up bubbling or like busting 2 off the bubble, but that was with like 16 players left. So that wasn't even one that I like cashed, but I was still down to 3 tables and, had a very good chance of winning that one as well.
So when you bust out of the last tournament, which I'm assuming for you was the little one for One Drop,
mm-hmm.
I guess, how are you feeling at that point, man? Like, are you relieved the summer's over? Are you happy you still had one of your biggest summers? You had a very epic proposal, which we'll talk about too.
Mm-hmm.
Or are you like, man, I was so like, what was the feeling at that point in time?
It was a little bit of both of those, like, kind of like, man, I missed an opportunity, but also like a little relieved for the, like, okay, this tourney grind is over now. Like, my bust out was like 470th place or something in the money of the little one for One Drop, where I got in like 4s to aces and the guy just flopped me dead, and I was just like, okay, all right, I got to go collect this like $1,900 payout. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I guess, yeah, I lost the last bets where I bet that I would win a third, and I didn't win the money, the 1.8 million. And yeah, I still won like a few million on the summer. I guess I'm okay with this,
Right. Yeah. Still, did you have the best summer, or did Fedor? I think maybe Fedor might have edged you out a little bit. I guess I'm not, but it's still damn pretty close, right?
Oh, I'm not sure who had a better summer. It would probably depend on how much he had of himself in all those tournaments that he won, because he won like 7 tournaments or something. But I mean, I know that it was definitely the best summer that I've ever had personally, by far. I mean, so I was happy with that either way.
Yeah, I think that I saw something on Twitter throughout it, and like, I think it was Poker Fuse said who had a hotter summer, who's having a hotter summer, Fedor or Jason. And at the time, you just went like 1-2-1. I'm like, man, it's got to be Jason, right? Like, think about all this. I mean, just like coming into it, all of the hype about, there's the stuff with the Doug stuff, which we'll talk about, and then there's this big bet, this big thing with Vanessa, and then bam, like straight away win. I mean, I don't know, man. To me, yeah, it's just incredible. WSOP, just the biggest stage. So I guess talking about the bet with Vanessa though. So obviously, there was a little bit of a back and forth that happened with you two, and I guess the basis is that she made the bet, I guess, drunk. So it was 1.8 million to win 10,000 or something of that nature. So she made the bet drunk. The next day, she wanted to get out of the bet, and I guess you didn't want to get out of the bet. You considered the bet booked, and I think that was the thing. Is some people were saying, well, why would he let her out of the bet? And some were saying, well, if it's supposed to be your friend, you should let her out of the bet. So I guess for that situation, why don't you take us in that a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely an interesting situation. A lot of it had to do with Dmitri, her booking the bet against Dmitri a couple days before. I just didn't really feel like she cared that much about getting out of the bet. She was like, defending that it was still a good bet for her, which I was like, okay, well, if it's a good bet, then let's run it, So that's kind of why I just left it as is. And yeah, I mean, we didn't really talk about it at all after that until the World Series started and I won the first one, and then things kind of got out of whack.
Yeah, I think people, I've kind of seen both sides of the things, but I feel like for yourself, you make a lot of prop bets. You make a lot of side bets, don't you, Jason?
Yeah, sure. All the time.
Right. And I feel like when you get a bet like that, and especially once you know that person made another bet with someone else for a very similar nature, you're like, man, this bet's, I can't, like, holy shit, I can't believe this bet. I want to, okay, this is booked. But, then it's like, well, is there some sort of line where if someone asks you to get out of the bet or buy out, you should let them, or, it's like a very weird area. And I feel like a lot of people sort of looked at it on your end, like you did something wrong, when I feel like it's sort of like how things are. If you're making a ton of bets and you're using this as motivation and using this as something you do regularly, like you're not going to start letting people buy out of bets when you think it's a good bet for yourself. That kind of seems a little bit dumb to just do that. If someone's like, no, I want out of the bet. And you're like, I got a good bet though. I want to see if I can do this. And I want to see if I can actually win this money. It doesn't make sense to let the person buy out of the bet, really.
Sure. And I mean, there is definitely like some circumstances where I would let people out of bets, especially if it's like something where I thought it was very neutral, one way or the other, or like, if the person's like a very good friend and they're like, this could be like life-changing for them. But, in this circumstance, Vanessa was very specific that if I was to even get close, she would just hedge it out. She told me from the beginning what her plan was in the bet. So I didn't really feel like, she was ever really going to be on the hook for 1.8 million. And also it's kind of like, I'm basically going to lose this money. Like most of the time I played the World Series 8 times, before this year. I had never won more than 1 bracelet. So, and, I've won 3 before this year. So it's like, I didn't really think that it was going to ever really come to anything besides like the free 10,000 that I was sort of giving away.
I guess so. After that happened, and after you guys had the back and forth, have you guys talked about it, made up? Is it something now where you guys are on good terms, or do you feel like that incident could have just in the future, it sort of just stays with you guys forever in terms of your relationship?
I'm not too sure. We haven't really talked about it too much. I'm hoping that we're okay, but yeah, it was a very interesting situation. It's not really something that I've dealt with before. In side betting, a lot of times most people don't like, I don't know what I want to say or how I want to say it. I don't know. We'll just leave it at that.
I like that. I mean, yeah, I guess, I can definitely understand from Vanessa's side of things. I can see it from your side of things. So I guess it's just kind of like, an unfortunate incident. Is it an unfortunate incident? I don't know. Maybe. Not sure if it's an unfortunate incident, actually.
I don't know. I think it did a lot, actually, to there was a lot of hype around poker, and poker got a lot of coverage, and I don't know. I think overall it was good for the game.
Yeah, I mean the Ringer actually wrote a piece about it. It was a very lengthy piece. I was surprised. So the Ringer guys, it's a sports website. They have sports. They write about tech. They write about all kind of fun things. They have some short form, long form. It's by Bill Simmons, who is used to be an ESPN personality and started a website called Grantland. Now he has a site called The Ringer. It's one of my favorite sites. So when I went on there in the morning and I saw this, I'm like, wait a second, no fucking way, really. And then I read the piece. The piece was very long and pretty detailed. So was that something where the writer was in contact with you and they're like, hey, I'm going to write this really sick piece about what happened with you, or is that something that he did on his own?
No, he contacted me. I was extremely impressed when I read the article. I mean, it was one of the best pieces that I felt was ever written about me. I thought he did an exceptional job, and the fact that he wrote that article just off of a one phone call that we had where we talked for like, I don't know, 50 minutes or an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then just from that, he wrote this whole article. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people ask me like, hey, was that guy like there following you around during the World Series? I mean, he made it seem like he was right there, you know, like sweating what was going on, asking me questions throughout the whole thing. But actually, he just, you know, had a 1 hour phone call with me and asked the right questions. And I guess I was able to, you know, explain to him kind of in detail what was going on. But I was really impressed. I mean, he seemed like he knew a lot about poker. When I said, like, we were hand for hand, and then was like, do you know what that means? And he's like, yeah, that's this. You know, and I was like, oh, I was sweating the cards, like I was looking at the pips, like, oh, do you know what that means? And then he'd be like, yeah. So I think he was very knowledgeable about poker already. And yeah, he seems like a very, very good writer. And it was awesome. I thought it was an awesome article.
Yeah, I feel like that piece was sort of one of the more popular articles they wrote for that period of time too. It seemed like they kept hyping it on social media. They kept talking about it and stuff. So I was, yeah, I think it was really cool to read. And I guess from that's how Dan Le Batard show, they're based out of Miami, I believe. They got in touch with you and they had you on their show as well, right?
Yeah, I guess Dan actually read the piece and then contacted his like booking person or assistant or whatever, and she got a hold of me via my email, which is on my Twitter account. And then, yeah, we linked up and I was able to go on that show as well. And
so these guys are a little less knowledgeable about poker, Jason.
Yeah,
gotta say, a little contrast of poker knowledge when you went on the show with him and I think it was, what's the co? It's not the Bomani, right? It's what's the co-host name?
Stugotz.
Yeah. So I guess so. The vibe of that, you know, wasn't. I guess they have a certain outlook on poker players. I feel like they view poker players from a very different angle than maybe the writer did.
Yeah, I think that they just didn't really have much of a baseline. You know, they viewed it as like we're gamblers and just like need the action, like gotta gamble, you know. So like
put the fucking needle in the arm, right? Yeah,
exactly. Like Dan had some quotes. Like I watched a little bit of the show leading up to my interview, and you know, when he was talking about it, like he's gonna have me on the show, he was talking about Phil Ivey and how, you know, Phil Ivey like can't get enough, like he can never like get enough. And I was like, oh man, like I feel like this interview might not go in the right direction. I felt like I definitely should have tried to do like a pre-interview interview, you know, like, hey, let me just get on the phone with you guys for like 10-15 minutes. You guys can ask me the questions you want to, and then from that you can probably get a better idea of what you want to ask me or talk about. Just because, like, yeah, I mean, I feel like they both read the article, or just Dan read the article, and then from that they just like fired out the first few questions that popped in their head. I don't think it was like their intention or anything like that to try to make me look bad or try to make it look like poker was something, or, you know, I don't think they had any sort of angle. I think that they were just very unknowledgeable and unprepared. And, you know, they had like this view of like, you know, Phil Ivey was like the only baseline that I think that they had to go on.
Yeah. So you put something on Twitter that I commented on because I thought it was interesting. You said degenerate, junkie, and addict, not exactly my favorite words to describe myself as one of the best in the profession. Oh, well, I'll just keep printing. So, so now, you know, I can understand where someone who's unknowledgeable about poker is coming from. And you could actually argue that most people that play poker are pretty degenerate in a way. And a lot of people aren't, like, you know, majority of poker players aren't really winning at the game. So sure, it's easy to perceive those people as having a gambling problem or degenerates or people who need to reevaluate their lives. And I feel like the general public just lumps in poker with gambling as the same exact thing. They consider blackjack and poker, slots and poker, the exact same thing. Right. So you put on there that poker will never reach its full potential, go mainstream when this is the public's perception of what we do. And now, so I feel like in a way, it kind of is accurate in a way of poker players, but at the same time, I feel like it's not accurate for the best players because the best players are very skilled at the game. And then the challenge is, how can you actually portray that to people out there that are unfamiliar with poker and what it's really all about?
Sure. I mean, and that's been the challenge basically that, that the visionaries of the industry have been trying to figure out what to do for the last decade or so. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Annie Duke came up with the Epic Poker League, because it was like going to be this exclusive league of only certain people that qualified, and it was going to like make for better TV. And obviously that didn't work out because of obvious reasons. And
Wait, are you talking about Poker Pro Annie Duke? Or who is Annie Duke?
Yeah.
A Poker Pro? Wait a sec. Was she ever a Poker
Pro?
Pro? I was confused. Like, when was she ever a professional poker player?
I don't know if she was. It was definitely before my time. But yeah, I don't know. That was interesting that it can't. I think that Poker News was trying to actually. I spoke to somebody from Poker News. They were actually trying to make that headline like as if it was sarcastic, but they should have just said like supposed pro, not said pro, because said pro makes it sound like you're actually calling her a pro, So
yeah, I mean, they got it. I when I saw it, I was like, they got to be just being sarcastic, because there's no way Annie Duke can be perceived as a professional. I mean, like I said, I don't know if she was. I feel like she probably maybe had a deep run and then happened to get on TV, happened to know all the other players who were also getting popular and were on television, and then she sort of was able to turn that into something a little bit more. And now she's known as Poker Player in 2016.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she's not really known as a poker player, but I guess, because of her exposure and her being on that show or whatever, that's why the Wired or whatever, I don't even know what they were talking about, like interviewed her about Trump. It was very odd to me, and I couldn't help myself. I had to say something.
So do you not think that poker players are degenerates or addicts as a whole? As a general thing?
I mean, of course, some are, but I was actually, it's a very interesting topic, and like I was talking to Shane Schlager about this, and he was saying that he thinks that's like part of the sex appeal for poker is like the degeneracy,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily disagree with that. And, it is an interesting concept. Like maybe that's what we need to actually do, is like embrace the fact that not we're degens, but we gamble unlike anyone else. These guys that are going and playing blackjack or slots, it's like you just know that you don't have an edge, right? Whereas we're actually gambling to the point where we have an edge. And does it become degeneracy because we play for 50 hours straight, or because we play 18 hours a day for 2 months straight? And I think that concept is very interesting to think about. Like, would it be better for poker to go mainstream if we were talking more about the degeneracy of, the poker pros and what we're able to do? I mean, it's like, that's just doesn't happen in these other professions. Guys aren't playing, or like working at their craft 18, 20 hours a day for 2 months. Like, it's a very interesting thing. And then, you add in the fact that we're winning and losing large sums of money, and it makes for very, I think, interesting storylines, and a lot of people are intrigued by it, but it's definitely, we haven't figured out how to have it appeal to the masses and how to actually show it to the masses. Yeah.
It's actually really interesting. So instead of having it be, because, I feel like people try to stay away. They don't want to glamorize the degeneracy. They don't want to glamorize that aspect of things. But in reality, it's sort of, that's what poker, actually is. I'm sure, yeah, there are maybe some who wouldn't consider themselves degenerates, but I mean, overall, I feel like that is sort of the thing. I mean, that's sort of, it's actually an interesting idea, is to just embrace that. I mean, maybe then you have to embrace the fact that there are people who are also pretty addicted and addicted in a harmful way for their lives. And I guess, so would you recommend people play poker out there? If someone's like, yeah, I want to get into poker, I want to become a professional poker player, would you say like, yeah, I think poker is a great thing for you to do and pursue?
I mean, I definitely recommend people playing poker, but I don't recommend to people, yes, you should quit your job and like try to become a professional. I mean, that's something that I think you have to basically be able to do on your own. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to try poker, I think it's a great recreational thing. It's a great hobby, you know, and if you actually realize that you're very good at it and able to make a bunch of money, well, then you can kind of transition into, maybe I should become a pro. Maybe I can make $250,000 a year doing this instead of my $40K a year job, or whatever it is, you know, or that you really enjoy poker more and you're actually going to make around the same amount that you're making at your job. So it's not something where I'm like, oh, wow, you're a smart guy and you're in finance, but you like the idea of poker, like you played a few hands. It's like, oh yeah, quit your job, let's go. I'm going to coach you, like you'll be a pro in no time. You know what I mean? It's like, it's definitely something that I recommend that you start as a hobby. You know, you see if you like it, you see if you're good at it. And then, you know, obviously to become a pro, it takes a lot. So,
you know, I actually think it is a pretty good hobby, especially as you get older into your 20s. I feel like you got your job. A lot of people don't really do too much. And I feel like poker is something that gets people, it can get them out of the house. It can get them, especially if you join some of the VFW leagues or the bar leagues, or even if you go to a casino. I mean, it's pretty fun to do. And I guess the negative is, you know, people, it takes over their lives in some kind of way. And it takes the thrill of the winning the money, the idea. But I mean, that's what makes poker appealing, is the idea that you could potentially, you know, there's that fun aspect of it. There's that enjoyable aspect of it as well. But to a larger degree, there is the potential that you can then make a lot of money for yourself, and you could become one of these people who can quit your job and can have this different lifestyle that is really attainable with a regular career.
And there's also like, there's something to be said for when you're talking about the fact that, oh, it could take over and you could become addicted. It's like, that can happen with anything. I mean, that can happen with, like, you're playing your fantasy football league and now you're staying up way too late and getting, you know what I mean? It's like, you can be addicted to anything. Like, Candy Crush could take over, you know. It's
and it has taken over people's lives for sure.
Oh yeah, I think we actually talked about that.
That is a fucking fact. Candy Crush, I mean, I've read multiple stories on the internet. Like, think about it, they make, like, the King game, it made like almost maybe even $1 billion off of that game. So if people are gonna say poker is ruining lives, or if anything in that nature, Candy Crush definitely ruined way more fucking lives, because people spent so much. There's not even a chance to make money at that game. You're literally just spending money on the game. At least at poker, you can then make money from the game, which I think makes it unique, especially where all these new games on the apps, they're all the freemium model. It's free, but now you have to pay for all this shit. So you're playing Clash of Clans. You're never making anything back from the game. Whereas at poker, the potential to make money back is there. So I feel like as we go down that path, I think poker is actually a better option than some of these other games when it comes to, you know, spending your money or putting your money in.
Spending your time as well. I mean, these games, like, they take so much time. You're just sitting there and, like, all of a sudden an hour has gone by and your hand is numb and you're like, what have I been doing? Like, hold on, I need to buy more coins or whatever it is. It's like, it's craziness. But to say that, like, poker is more addicting, or, like, you know, there's so many things that if you personally let them control you, you know, they can become just as dangerous or addicting as poker.
Yeah. Mary in the chat on YouTube. Guys, we are live on YouTube. We're live on Twitch. Any comments, questions, put them in the chat. Marion on YouTube says, you lose a lot more money in poker, let's be honest. I think that kind of goes back to, I mean, you could lose a lot of money and anything spending if you say lose. So if you say you buy things on a freemium game, are you losing it in that aspect, or are you buying something? Are you spending it? Whereas at poker, you're buying into the game. So I mean, I don't see how it feels like they're the same thing, doesn't it?
Well, of course you can lose more at poker because there's higher levels. It's like in Candy Crush or these other games where you can buy stuff, they're not offering you $100,000 buy-in for, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, because poker has built up this like structure of basically you can find any game that will appease you because there's so many levels. It's like you have to, you know, be able to control yourself. And like, if you're only wanting to spend, you know, $50 a week or $50 a month on poker, well, that's within your rights, but you have to actually be able to control that. Whereas like Candy Crush, you know, or these games, like they only offer certain things. So you're not burning as much money as you could potentially. But you know, if that's like the issue, you might just be like lighting it on fire at the mall and buying all this stuff. You know what I mean? It's always about personal responsibility for your own money. And, you know, of course you can lose more at poker because there's just more freedom there, you know, but it's like at the casino, it's the same thing as at the casino. Like, that you can play 5,000 a hand blackjack or like $500 a spin slot. So the fact that that's available to you, you know, doesn't mean that you just have to use it. You know what I mean? That's why people play penny slots and play $5 blackjack, because they can't afford to lose that much.
Well, I'm actually curious what other people think about this, because never really talked about this topic very much on the podcast. So I'm curious people out there think about this. Let me know on Twitter at Jungleman or in the comments here. So a lot of the chat here, Jason, they want to talk about one thing, and they want to talk about the Doug Polk stuff, because Doug's been streaming a lot on Twitch. He's been a lot on YouTube. So there was something happen where, I mean, he might have actually made you a lot of money. So this might have been a good thing. I feel like this was a good thing, honestly.
Yeah, thanks, Doug.
So a comment, he has something on his Twitch where he calls you a bad reg, and then I think me and him talked about it on my podcast a little bit more as well. Then I kind of got into tournament players in general. So this idea of you being a bad reg, this seems like, I don't know, it seems to have stuck amongst the Twitchers and these sort of guys. So I mean, what are your what's because you guys gotten a little bit back and forth on Twitter, and I know what's your feelings on this whole bad reg situation, this whole comment from him and that incident happening?
Well, first of all, I have to thank him, because like he just lit a fire under me, and I decided I was going to make a few million this summer. So thank you, Doug. And besides that, you know, I don't know if he actually believes that I'm not that good or whatever it is. I felt like when he actually did it was some sort of ploy or marketing thing where he was just trying to get more viewers, trying to see if he could start something with me, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I fell for it and took the bait, and you know, but I mean, it's just one of those things that it's kind of comical to even think about, like where it's like a guy that specializes in one type of poker or whatever. I mean, he's good at like heads up, no limit, right? So calling me a bad reg where I like dominate basically every form of poker. So it's just comical to think about.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what got misconstrued in all this. People, like, I feel like he was referencing one format, and I think people thought he was referencing like you're a bad reg in all formats, when obviously that's definitely not true. You play a ton of mixed games at the highest stakes in these cash games in private and public, and you play all the tournament variants. So and you're obviously not a bad reg. So I think people like that's kind of when I said to him, I'm like, he's obviously not a bad reg, but I think it was from the standpoint of, you know, this one game type, or I really don't know the specifics. I think it was maybe for no limit tournaments or something like that.
Yeah, no limit online tournaments, like the high stakes Scoop and WCOOP, I guess he just doesn't view me as one of the best players in those fields, or maybe even like thinks I'm a losing player, which, you know, it's definitely possible for someone to think that. But you know, it's just one of those things. Those fields are obviously very tough, you know, like and it would be hard to even like, you can't, there's not that many of them as well, so it's like you can't really even tell who's winning or losing based on like theoretical whatever and ROI and all that crap, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's sort of I took the internet by storm for a short period of time. But I mean, like what I was saying is that, you know, I used to love when people said those things about me, man. That got me fired up. Like, you know, someone's talking like I used to love it, man. That, I mean, honestly, without some comments people used to say about me on like poker table ratings back when that was a big thing, I never would have been, I never just would have had that motivation to make it up to the high stakes. And like, I mean, yeah, those things, like those are, some people don't get that fuel from those comments though. They take it just a totally different way. And
sure.
I mean, I think I said this on, I was talking with Doug, was like, I feel like you're the type of person, you see that comment, you're like, fuck man. Okay. Like, sure. I mean, you get upset about it. You take a lot of pride in your game, in your poker ability. You've been doing this for a long time. So for you to, you know, have that reaction, I don't, you know, people are like, well, why would you react at all? Well, I mean, this is like what you've been doing, man. This is what your life has been like for the past, you know, bunch of years back when you were playing on Stars, getting Supernova Elite on there, which I don't even think people even know about at all. So
yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, it was definitely, I guess I just felt a little disrespected. You know, it was like, I hadn't really, you know, it's one thing for somebody to be like, yo, this kid's not that good or whatever, like to another person, or, you know, to kind of like say this person didn't play this hand that well, but to sort of like publicly be like, yeah, this kid's not that good. I just hadn't really, I guess, had that happen yet, from like someone who's supposed to be, you know, a good player or whatever. So I took it a little personally for sure. And I don't know if he actually believes it or not, or was just doing it for his poker site or whatever. I won't even name it, but you guys know what site it is. So,
well, I do like Doug. I mean, I've been friends with Doug for a long time, so you know he can definitely say some things that are a little controversial. He can definitely say some things that you know, hit a chord with some people. So
sure.
Maybe that's just, I guess, you know, everyone's got their own personality, their own approach to things, and their own reason for saying this.
I don't like have any problem with Doug. I mean, like we actually we used to talk on AIM like in 2007 when I was going for Supernova Elite. Like I've known him for a long time. We didn't meet personally until like years later, but yeah, I mean, I always thought we were like cool. So I guess I just took it a little personally when he was like, yeah, this kid's not that good. I was like, kill this guy.
So you guys actually got sat next to each other in the 300K Super High Roller Bowl, which was immediately after that.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the vibe? Like, what's that? I mean, you guys sit down and you're like, oh, what's up, man?
Yeah, I saw the table draw. I was like, come on, man. Did they do this on purpose? This is ridiculous. So, yeah, I mean, it was whatever, like playing next to him. It was kind of weird because I actually had a crossbook against him, not against him directly, but his buddy Jason Moe or whatever booked 5% on Doug against me. So I was like, okay, he's on my left. Let's make sure that I don't like get stacked by him, because that's going to be like equally or like doubly bad for me, or, you know, tilting. So and we had like a fairly tough table, but yeah, it kind of like it went, the day one went very well. Like I'm not sure if Doug busted at the end of the day one, or if I got moved off of his table, or what happened, but I know that I ended up bagging a bunch of chips and he was either out or short or something, and I was like, all right, round one, me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very, I mean, kind of good for poker. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, you talk about what's
Sure.
good for, like, I feel like these two things were, were just entertaining for poker. And it's kind of something we just really don't see, because, you know, maybe like the people who are outgoing and the people who are maybe more inclined to say comments like that really don't exist anymore in poker. Or people have just gotten a little bit more mature. People have gotten older. The people that are at the top now are just older people in general. So they don't feel like maybe they had that brash of ego 5 years ago, but now they don't have that necessarily, you know, that desire to make that happen, sort of thing. So, but I mean, clearly it makes for some entertaining narratives in the poker world.
Yeah, for sure.
So we talked about this, and I got to imagine, I wonder how many people really know about what you did, like before you were the PokerStars sponsor pro Jason Mercier. So they used to know about, I mean, you were a Supernova Elite before. You've always had this sick, incredible work ethic, this grind ability.
Yeah, I got Supernova Elite the first year that they ever did it on PokerStars, which was 2007. I think the year before, I was kind of like still going to school, playing a decent amount on Stars, but like not really even, I wasn't by any means a professional at that point. Like in 2006, I was kind of just like splashing around, not really sure what I should play. I was playing like limit hold'em cash, no limit cash, tournaments here and there, sit and goes. I was just like trying to figure out where I could actually make money on PokerStars. And then when they announced Supernova Elite, I was like, whoa, what is this whole thing? Like 1 million VPPs in 1 year? How much am I going to have to play? What would I have to do? And I just kind of decided to go for it. I was like, all right, you know what? I was still going to school. Like I was in like my last semester of like, I was going to have to go, because first of all, a little backstory, whatever. I went to a university. I went to Florida Atlantic University for 1 year after high school. I didn't go to class like at all. And then basically lost my scholarship because I was playing poker all the time and had to go to community college. So for the next 2 years, I went to community college. So this was like my last semester of community college where I started my Supernova Elite grind. And yeah, it was like, all right, I'm just going to see how this works out for the first week. I started playing, I think I played 50 cents a dollar, no limit, with like 10 tables for the first day. And then like the next day I was like, okay, let me just try 1-2. And then, yeah, I was like earning enough points and like not losing money. So I was like, all right, let me see if I can go for it. And after a few weeks I had like made money and was like, you know, well on my way, like on pace. And then, yeah, I just kind of like played 45 hours a week of 12 tables for I did it for like the first 9 months of the year. I like didn't slow down at all. I was like making 100,000 VPPs a month. And then, so I had like 900,000 after 9 months. And then I decided to like kind of take it easy the last few months, just like coast into getting the 1 million VPPs. I started coaching. I was going to coach the varsity basketball team, like which started in I think November.
At the college?
No, sorry, at my high school.
Okay, I'm like, wait, what?
So like the high school that I graduated from. After I went to Florida Atlantic for 1 year and then came home, I started coaching. Like I coached the junior high basketball team. Then the next year I coached the junior varsity. Then the next year I coached the varsity, which was pretty cool. And it was kind of interesting being, I had like just turned 21 and was coaching the varsity basketball team. And I was like a professional poker player at this point, basically. So, which they didn't really know because it was like a Christian school. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And I just kind of like chilled and finished, got Supernova Elite, I think, on like with 10 days left of the year, which got me a PCA package and a Monte Carlo package. And that was part of the reason why I even went to San Remo, which was my first big win. I like saw that San Remo was right before Monte Carlo, and you could fly to the same airport. So I like played some step 5 tournament, won it, played the step 6 tournament, won it, and then went to San Remo and won that for 1.4 million or whatever. So it was quite a parlay of circumstances. Like in 15 months, I went from like not really knowing what type of poker I should play to try to make money and having like maybe 10K to my name to then, you know, having a year of grinding Supernova Elite, making a bunch of money, and then winning a tournament for 1.4 million like a few months after.
It's so fucking crazy, man. It really, I mean, it's, you know, because kind of in this day and age, that's unheard of. You go 15 months. Like, I mean, 15 months, you don't know what gameplay you're even focusing on. All of a sudden, SNE becomes a possibility, and then you can get it and not be a losing play. I mean, most people, like, when I got SNE the first time, I think I might have been winning. No, I was winning at 50 cent dollar. I wasn't winning at 1-2 at the time. So, but I'd always like playing 1-2 because you get more points per hand. So, like, I'm just losing money basically. And, you know, by the time you get SNE, you have like, you get 120K, but you certainly don't have 120K. So like, it's just, I think it's incredible, man, that you're able to, you know, 15 months, that's just, it's wild. And then from there, you pretty much became a tournament player. You didn't go back to grinding SNE again the next year, did you?
No, like in 2008, I had just kind of decided I wasn't going to try to get elite again, just because I was like so burnt out from playing so much. And also during 2007, I decided I wasn't going to try to move up stakes. You know, like for me, I had always just been like, okay, I'm going to play bigger if I win. You know what I mean? Like if I have like, like
yep,
when PokerStars first like announced that there was like a $300 tournament on Saturday or whatever, and I had like 4,000 in my account, I was like, oh, sweet. Like more money, like fire it in. So, yeah, I just like kind of decided in 2007, like I'm not going to move up. Like I'm just going to keep playing 1-2, no matter how much money I make, no matter how many bonuses. And then, the next year in 2008, the next year I was like, you know what, let me try to move up stakes. I started playing 2-4, 3-6, 5-10. I started playing PLO more. And I was actually doing like really well. I'd probably made like, I don't know, close to 100,000, like just playing mid stakes, no limit and PLO in the 3 months leading up to San Remo where, and then once I won San Remo, I was like, okay, now I'm going to see what else I can do. Like start traveling around, you know, got into playing higher stakes cash game live. Eventually learned mixed games like you know, a couple of years later or whatever, and I just never really. I don't think I grinded no limit hold'em again on PokerStars like cash games. Like I mean, I might have played a session here or there, but I was never like it was never like my primary focus. After that, I would like play 25-50 PLO or 10-20 PLO or whatever. And just try to, I don't know, splash around, see what games. It was like a new level, you know, like let me see what I can play and become more profitable than this like playing mid stakes no limit grind.
So it seems like you basically settled in as a mixed game player then over the years, because I feel like that's, you know, that's sort of that's what you guys sort of played on in Florida mainly. You guys play different versions of mixed games, and you know, why is that your choice of game as compared to a more probably more exciting? I mean, instead of just playing no limit or straight PLO.
It's definitely more entertaining for me. You know, I just enjoy it a lot more. I started like actually playing mixed games where I would play like a cash game that had a rotation of games. I started doing that in 2010. I think at the PCA was the first time I ever just like hopped in a game where I didn't know a lot of the games, because it was like, I think John Robert Balan was playing and like Elia Lesra and like a few other guys. And I was just like, man, this game just doesn't look that difficult, you know, like let me try to learn these games. And, you know, I think they were playing like 4-800. And then shortly after that, like was when 4-800 8 game was running on Stars like almost every day. And then I started like getting really into those games and playing them every single day. I think that one of the things that I'm very good at is just learning a new game very quickly. Like whether it be open face or like, you know, a lot of times guys will invent a new game where it's like, oh, this is a new game where it's like triple draw form, but like, have you heard of Duck Flush?
I think Brian told me about that before. Yeah, I think Brian told me he played it. I might have played it down with you guys down there.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's like a game where it's triple draw, but a flush or better beats any low. And it's like, so if you have the wheel, you're beating any low unless somebody has a flush, you know? So it's like these games that people invent, I feel like I'm just very good at like quickly figuring out the optimal strategy and also figuring out like what my opponents are doing and how to exploit them and stuff like that. And and it's something that just comes with hours and hours of playing new games, and like, I don't know, the experience is very key in this type of thing.
I think also in that spot, it might, I guess it might sort of turn off some players, maybe some new players or some new fun players who want to play with you or playing the games, but they don't really want to do it in games they don't know much about. But at the same time, it also may give you a pretty big advantage when people do want to play in those games and you have the experience of playing all of these games. So now you can play in a game in Vegas or in LA or in Florida or PCA, and you have experience just learning new games, 1, and 2, playing all these types of games. So when you actually get in cash games, it's got to give you a pretty big edge when you find in those spots.
Yeah, definitely. I've said this a lot before. It's a lot of people are like, oh, well, what's your like ideal mix game or whatever? And it's like, well, normally I don't really dictate the mix, you know, I just like show up and be like, oh, what are we playing? And do I have a seat? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't really care. Obviously I like to play some sort of rotation of games is ideal. But if like, you know, 3 big fish or like, let's play No Limit Hold'em or let's play PLO or whatever, I'm going to play that. So a lot of times it just depends on what lineup is out there and what everyone wants to play. And I'm just like ready to play any form of poker at any time, pretty much.
Yeah, you had another interesting tweet, which any other poker players out there more stressed out by real life than the 24/7 high stakes grind. So real life stresses you out. I mean, I can understand that because when you're playing poker, you're like, you're sort of, there's only one thing to do in that situation. It's play poker. But then when other things in real life start coming, it's like there's like kind of infinite options in real life. And whereas poker, there's one option, you sit down, you play. So I can definitely understand, you know, I'm sure there was a little bit of humor in that as well too, but I can definitely understand.
It kind of spawned from, I sort of realized that I play in this like men's league basketball like every Thursday night, right? And I don't feel like I'm stressed before the game or like in the day leading to the game. I don't feel like I'm stressed. But I sort of have noticed that I get like almost a stomach ache right before the game, almost every time. And it's like, I don't mentally think I'm stressed, but obviously my body is like anticipating this like physical beating that I'm about to take. You know what I mean? And also, you know, we're planning a wedding. I'm looking for a new house, and it's like all these like decisions of, okay, you know, what do I do with this extra money that I have now? Do I need to invest it in? There's so many things that involve real life, you know, like I got to go see all my family and all my friends while I'm home, you know, and, oh, who have I not seen? Who are we inviting to the wedding? Who are we not inviting? You know, these are all things that are like factoring into my brain in this real life where I'm like, I rather treat it like a vacation when I'm home. I want it to be like I'm just chilling. I'm going to see my parents, and then I'll have dinner with my friends. But there's just a lot of like real life things that are on my shoulders right now, where I'm just like, you know what? I'd rather be playing 1,500, 3,000 at the Bellagio every day, and just like, not worrying about any of this stuff.
Some people in the chat saying first world problems. So, you got to understand, guys, like,
yeah,
it's
I
pretty much
figured that was coming.
It's all really relative to people. So, like, just because you have success doesn't necessarily mean you don't, it's home free. Like, you have nothing to worry about. Like, just because you have different things that you focus on or you worry about, it's still all a challenge to everybody. And just because you may have had more success with financially doesn't necessarily mean you're like immune now to feel these other emotions that everyone out there really feels.
Yeah, of course. Good problems to have. They're still problems. You know what I mean? Like, even though it's a good problem, you still have to deal with it. My dad has always been like, it's great that you've won this money and whatever, but if you don't manage it properly, it could all disappear. And that's something that I try to deal with a lot while I'm not playing poker, is like making sure that I have my stuff in order, you know what I mean? And like making sure that I'm not punting it off with wrong investments, and that I have my money in the right places and stuff like that. And it's very important, I think, as a professional poker player, to make sure that you have these things in order. Otherwise, like, they're just going to be, it's going to be extra stress that you don't need.
Nope. I think he died. Jason died. We'll get some shout outs until he comes back, guys. He died. Let me some shout outs. We got in the chat here on YouTube. We got Labix Poker. What up, Labix? What's happening, buddy? Ross Stuffin. What up, puppy? My buddy Galaxy Cop. What's up, Galaxy? Kip Slip. B Pakistan goes. M Harder 4. Let's see who else we got out there. Craig Bell. What up, Craig? What's happening, man? CTS 1990. Fake CTS. What's up, bro? DZJR. Hey, puppy. Liam Kavanaugh. Chim Richards. Jackson Lenhart Music. What up, Ball Balky? Ren Dizzy. Alex Carol W. Isaac Shelley. Shout out to Alex Rosenfeld Sorensen. I will love you so much. Okay. Something about someone offering a blowjob. No, thank you. Not going to be able to do it. Let's see who else we got out there. Green Cell. What up, Green? Massa Chris. Benjamin. My buddy Bruno Silver on Twitch. Heaven Lies. Free Roll. Slay Show. Man, we got a lot of people out here, guys, today. Let me see what happened to Jason. Make sure he didn't get eliminated from the world here. We're live, guys. Sometimes things happen, You can fast forward ahead 3 minutes if you're watching this back on replay. And then if Jason's there, then you can go back 1 minute to see if he's there and start from there. You can go back whenever it is until he comes back. So Sean Conlon, what up, Sean? Nathan, Macy J, Ricky Jones. Wait, I'm getting a call from him. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on. Okay. Are you you're coming back in? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right, guys. Jason's back.
Man, sorry about that. My computer was getting low on battery, and I was looking for an opportune spot to run and grab the charger, and then I just forgot about it. So
happens, man. It definitely. So I wanted to talk about, you mentioned the wedding, and you mentioned planning for that. So you may have had one of the most, probably the most epic poker wedding proposal of all time. So your girlfriend, now fiance Natasha, she made the final table of an event, and you proposed to her at the final table. Was it after she busted out, or what was? Because I saw it on Poker News, and it was pretty fucking cool.
It was after she got knocked out. She busted in third, and it was like the perfect moment. I felt for me to propose to her. Like, I had this idea basically after I won my second bracelet. I was like, you know what? If I win a third bracelet, this is going to be absolutely perfect to propose to her. So I went out and got a ring and basically had it ready to go just in case I won a third bracelet. then when she actually, you know, it obviously didn't happen right away or anything. And then I got the idea to actually propose to her if she had a big score, because she won her her first shootout table in the 3K shootout, and then had the chip lead in when they're playing four-handed in the second round. She had like a big chip lead, and I was like, oh wow, she might make the final table. And then if she has a good score, I'll just do it then. Well, she ended up losing heads up in the second round, and I was like, okay, well, I guess it's back on my shoulders, like I got to win a third bracelet.
Right.
So in the 5K no limit, they, on day 3, they were down to like 2 tables, then they combined at 10, and she was doing really well, and I was kind of sweating like, okay, when are they going to stop? Are they going to play? Are they going to finish this? What's happening? So she told me that they were going to actually stop if they got to 6. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. If she makes it to the final 6, as long as she doesn't lose like some horrendous beat where, I'm not going to go up there and propose if she gets knocked out in 6, losing like queens to jacks and the guy rivers a jack or something like that, and then be like, will you marry me? She'd be like, screw you, like worst beat of my life, So in this spot, she basically didn't really even play a hand. She came into the final table, into the final 6, like third in chips. But one guy had all the chips. This like Asian guy who was like a recreational player literally had more than half the chips. So I was like, okay, she's hopefully going to ladder a few spots. And she ended up like barely even playing a hand. 3 people got knocked out. And then when they came back from break, she was short and like just lost ace 5 to ace 10 in like a pretty standard spot. So I was like, okay, this is absolutely perfect. She just had her best score ever, barely played any hands, and laddered like $250,000. Mm-hmm. And it seems like a perfect spot for me to propose. She was obviously like a little disappointed in getting knocked out, but like that disappointment just completely got wiped from her face when I went down on one knee.
Were you scared she wasn't going to say yes at all?
No, not really. I don't think that I would have had like the gumption to do it in that spot if I wasn't 100% sure. I mean, like I was going up there on like a live stream, like, will you marry me? And if she was just like, I can't do it, I would have been like, okay, my career is over. Like,
That'd been pretty, not getting him mad and brutal, man. But it did make for definitely some of the best. I mean, kid, you were everywhere this summer, buddy. I mean, making all the right fucking moves. I mean, you get this awesome video out of it. You get this very cool video out of the proposal. I feel like you guys are kind of I guess maybe there's one of their poker couple, Igor and Liv, but I don't know. You guys were, were pretty fun on World Series of Poker Twitter this year. There was she was definitely, on your side in a lot of in some of the situations that was taking place. And, like, it was kind of cool to see. Like, I like them, man. And she's like riding for you and some of these back and forths. Like, I respect that a lot. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, she's definitely very, very supportive. And it's been like incredibly motivating for me, like when a lot of relationships that I've had in the past, it's been a struggle, the whole like poker lifestyle, you know what I mean? Whereas in this relationship, she's already a professional poker player. When we started dating, she gets the lifestyle, she understands it, but also like she's just there for me. She's like, I would be deep in a tournament and I'd be like we're going to the Rio and I'm like, hey, are you going to reg like the 1500? She's like, yeah, I might hop in late, like if you get knocked out or if it's over, like, if you win the tournament before, and like, yeah, we'll see. I probably won't play, She's just like there for me, and it's just been like really incredible being able to travel to all the same places and have her there with me the whole time. And yeah, she's just a great girl, and that's partly why I proposed.
Very cool stuff. I feel like we don't, I feel like a lot of the poker relationships, they don't end up working out. You know, they never make it to that engagement part of it, especially people who are are visible on the social media aspect of things. And it's kind of refreshing. I feel like you gave a lot of hope to people out there who are hoping to get in a poker relationship. And I feel like
you might be able to find somebody, you know.
Good luck, guys. I mean, listen, man, you coming with, there's all sorts of things that happen with a poker relationships. There's, yeah, I try to stay away, Jay, man. I mean, but sure, like it'd be fun to find someone who also played poker, because obviously, as you said, especially for someone who's playing a lot, you playing weird fucking hours at high stakes. Sometimes games might go 2 days. I mean, you never know. So it takes a very special person and someone who can understand that lifestyle and supports it is incredibly important. I mean, you think that's the reason for the potential? I mean, I guess it's a combination of things probably played into the part of maybe you having one of your biggest summers yet.
Oh, definitely. I definitely think that her being there for me throughout everything in the last 18 months has contributed to my success. But also, it's just about when there's so many times in poker where you just feel defeated, or you feel like somebody has kicked you in the nuts, or, and being able to bounce back and, get off your ass and get back to the grind. And having somebody support you and always be there for you, it's just very important, and understand it. There's so many times where you're in a relationship where the girl is incredibly supportive, but has no clue what she's talking about as far as poker. It's oh, you just lost aces to kings for a chip lead with 2 tables left. And she's just oh, well, did you do it right? Did you make a mistake?
Couldn't you have folded? And you're
yeah, what happened? Better luck next time. It's but when the girl just knows the right things to say and, is there for you and supporting you, and it just helps you get back on the horse that much quicker.
So I guess, after this summer, where do you go from here? Can you go up anymore? Is there, how do you stay motivated? This is the question I really had for you was, you've been doing this now for a long time. You've been, since since Supernova Elite, you've been grinding pretty hard. I feel like consistently. So biggest summer ever. How do you stay motivated to be all right, WCOOP's coming up, EPT Barcelona's coming up. The One Drop Extravaganza. I'm sure that you could find one of the businessmen or whatever they are to coach in that event. By the way, Gil Liberté, if you're watching, shout out to you and get in touch with me so we can get you on the podcast to talk about One Drop Extravaganza. But I did send an email actually to him. I'm trying to get him on. But where do you find the motivation at now? Where from now it's where's your mindset at with it?
Well, the thing about being a professional poker player, right? So if you are not motivated or not playing your best or whatever, it's not like you're just not earning. You're going to be losing money. You know what I mean? So for me, if I'm going to be playing poker, I need to be playing my A game, So if I just am going in there oh, I just made all this money, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's very likely that I'm going to end up not playing my best and end up losing back money that I've won. So, it's a lot of it's about protecting, what I've won and trying to continue to win more. So I'm looking forward to playing there's the 5K in Florida. I went like that because right out my window I can see Hard Rock in the distance. So there's a 5K main event here and a 25K. I'm going to play both of those, then go to EPT Barcelona, play all the tournaments there, probably play 150,000 euros worth of buy-ins. And then I looked at the WCOOP schedule. I'm probably going to play the last 10 days of that. There's 100K.
Isn't that a rebuy? Is it one rebuy or multiple rebuys?
I think it's single reentry. I really wish it was just a freeze out, because like the thought of busting and being like, should I rebuy? I mean, I was annoyed that the 20K during Scoop was like, or was it a 50K maybe? I can't remember. There was some tournament.
I think it was a 50K. I think it was a 50K. Yeah.
I busted twice in a tournament where I was like, I wasn't really planning on firing 2 shells, and then it like just came up where I busted and registration was still open, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll play again. So those spots are a little annoying sometimes, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to definitely playing. WCOOP's always fun, and yeah, I mean, I generally just love playing poker, man. So like, I don't need that much more motivation than there being money of mine at risk,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is a 1 rebuy, the 100K, which is fucking crazy. It's 100, yeah, 102,000. Man,
Yeah.
that's gonna be some sick stuff right there. Yeah, it's like you're sitting there and you're like, do I rebuy? Yeah. I can imagine some people are gonna be on the fence, like, yeah, but
yeah.
I wonder how many. Yeah, that'd be fun. Be a fun event.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess so. In this situation, is it something where you're still taking all your action in a lot of these events, or is it something where you're still selling off action but keeping a little bit more for yourself, or is it like once you have more money now you raise the stakes, or is it you still keep the stakes the same?
It just depends. I mean, generally I'm going to be gambling a little more, especially when I'm winning and up huge on the year. Like in Barcelona, I think last year I like sold some action for the 50K. This year I probably won't. I'll just keep it all myself. But I mean, like I usually sell in 100K tournaments, no matter what. Like I'll sell something just because it's like 100,000. If you're just blasting all the 100Ks by yourself, 10 tournaments in and you've bricked off, you're down $1 million. So, I would like, my ideal buy-in is like, between 25 and 50,000 for these tournaments. So if it's 100K or 250 or whatever, I'll probably sell a little bit just to reduce the variance somewhat.
That makes sense. You actually, you touch on something interesting, which is you want to keep playing poker. You love playing poker. And a common theme here on the pods recently, especially with Fedor, I mean, Fedor's the biggest one, and other people as well, as they're talking about getting out of poker. They're talking about, all right, like, what can I do now? What can I do next? Poker's hard. Mm-hmm. Poker's this, poker's that. It seems like you're very much the opposite, where you are very excited to keep playing poker, and you're not really looking for a way out of poker. You're looking to keep getting better and better.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see myself like not playing poker at some point. But my whole reason for eventually wanting to not play poker is not wanting to be on the road 7 months out of the year. If poker was just there, and I was able to play and earn every day or whatever, and not travel or like, play online from Florida, or there was like a regular game here in Florida that I could make, a ton of money, then that'd be different. But right now, my options for making as much money as possible playing poker are being on the road, 6, 7, 8 months out of the year. So for me, if I want to not play poker, it needs to be like, okay, I'm able to retire basically to the point where now I don't have to travel, and I can just like post up in Florida and start, having a bunch of babies and like coaching their teams and whatever. I want it to be to the point where I'm like basically retired, not like let me figure out what now to do and what now to work. Like I'm like planning on playing poker very hard and keeping up this this travel schedule for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know, maybe, we'll see. And then hopefully just being like, peace. I'm done.
Peacing out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, you don't want to move from Florida, LA, or Vegas? Those two aren't options. Moving out the country, not really an option for you right now.
Not really. I have like I have a lot of family here. Like I have 3 older siblings that are all married, all having kids. My parents still live here. All my family basically lives within like 20 minutes of me. So, you know, I feel like I'm not here enough already.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely want to maintain my base here, at least for now. Yeah, I mean, I really love it here as well. You know, I love the weather. I love the area that I live in. And yeah, I don't really see myself ever really moving from here, at least like, you know, having my primary residence here.
Yeah. I think that's, you know, a decision a lot of people deal with and face is how much do they want to keep playing poker and keep potentially making more money, but living not by their family, not by their relatives, not by their brothers and sisters. You know, it's like, that's the thing you have to ask yourself is, you know, when does it become worth it, or when is it the other way, or do you do it for a short period of time? So I guess when you're having, you know, but I guess if you don't have the summer you have now, are you maybe rethinking that? Are you then thinking about, well, maybe I should relocate now?
Not really thinking about relocating, but definitely the summer that I had was more thinking about like, man, maybe retirement's closer than I thought, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was kind of envisioning like definitely having to play for at least 5 more years. But now, you know, I have a lot more options with the money that I've just won.
Okay, people want some power rankings. Do you have any 8-game power rankings the chat's asking for?
8-game power rankings for PokerStars?
For PokerStars, I believe, yes.
I mean, I don't really want to do the 8-game power rankings.
People love power rankings. Some people love giving them. Some people love don't really want to give them because they don't really want to talk about other players they think are doing well, or they don't want to put anybody down and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's kind of why I don't want to do it. Plus, I don't want these bastards that are tough at the tables for them to know that I don't like playing against them.
Right.
You know,
I think that's probably a good option. I'm always surprised people do give power rankings, though. It's kind of kind of funny when they do. You know, you got to ask them. I mean, hey, they like giving power rankings. So Gus Hansen #1. Gus Hansen's definitely not #1. So I guess here, I mean, Gus Hansen, the '70s porn star, I guess, spotted in Bobby's room recently. So yeah, he's definitely.
I was playing against Gus because I played cash for probably a week or a week and a half after getting knocked out of the little 1-for-1 drop, and was playing it in Bellagio a lot. And Gus was there, just playing mixed games. We had some pretty epic open face sessions as well. It was a lot of fun. He's like just so much action. It's like he's part of the reason why like games are still running in Vegas right now. Like the 1500 3K mixed has been running for like weeks after everyone's already left town because a lot of people stayed in town. And Gus is just like, he's just there like playing and blasting, and it's a lot of fun. He's like just a lot of fun to play against. Not even from the standpoint of like, you know, like you earn so much off him or anything like that. He's just honestly fun to play against.
Is he talkative in the games, and he's providing a fun atmosphere?
Yes, he creates a fun atmosphere. He's talking. A lot of times he talks through his like river decisions. Like when he's got like a close decision, a lot of times like people give him crap because they say he's a slow player, which I don't really even notice that much because I think he does this whole like talking when he's tanking thing. You know, like, oh, you did that and you had that. And like he's looking back at his hand like, oh, I have this and then I have that and you have this. And, you know, it's actually just very comical. And then he'll throw in like some one-liner about the guy's mom or something like, you know, it's just, it's just very, very funny.
Do we know what Gus, like where, like, is he good? What does he do? What does he do with himself outside of poker? Is he still backgammon? What is that? What the narrative is for him? Backgammon player?
I have no clue, man. I know that he didn't really play much. Like I was playing open face with him a lot at the end of last summer, and then he left town before I did. And I don't know if he played poker much at all until he finally like resurfaced in Vegas, like, a few weeks ago.
Maybe he's on the Monaco woman grind, just dating the women of Monaco. I don't know. I mean,
could be.
Are you gonna be going out to the One Drop Extravaganza thing? Have you gotten in touch with anyone to potentially be a coach for that or be involved with that somehow?
I don't even know when it is, to be honest. Like, I just assumed I wasn't allowed to play. If I am, somebody please tell me, because I would love to play. But I didn't really even. I mean, I heard about the whole coaching thing a little bit, but I don't really understand the concept. I haven't looked into it. I don't know who's playing, who's not playing, who would want me as a coach. I mean, I haven't really even. I don't know when it is or anything like that. So well, I'm definitely much more likely to go if I'm able to play. That's for sure.
Well, I suggest you figure this out because it's early October and the coaches get a free roll. I think it's like 3 to 5% free roll of the person that they're coaching.
That seems crazy. Why would somebody want a coach though? That's what I don't understand.
I have absolutely no idea. I mean, it's all recreation, so it's all recreational players. Maybe I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe it's like the fun. It's the draw. Maybe everyone has to have a coach.
Oh, if they have to have a coach, that's definitely interesting.
Yeah, but I think Talal was talking about playing it too. I imagine like people. I mean, maybe guys that are playing this have so much money they don't really care about the 3 to 5%, and it's already for charity anyway. So yeah, I'm not too sure of the specifics on that. That's why I want to get Guy on the podcast to talk with them more about it.
Are the coaches allowed to make decisions, or is it just like, how the coach in the UFC like is able to talk to the guy on break? I
think there might be something where if I think I read something, if there's a decision they could ask for help. I'm not sure. They can talk to him between breaks and shit like that. Like, I don't know if the coach has to hang out in a room or like how exactly it works.
They should make it like the UFC, like you can yell from the sideline, like, yo, if you got like a heart draw, you should go all in,
Maybe you can. Man. I don't know. I mean, it might be, that could be an option for sure. I'm not sure.
Oh man.
So I'm not sure how it's going to work here. Guys in the chat, give me a couple questions from people in the chat here, and let's see if they're good chat. We can talk really about, yes, you play a lot of basketball, obviously. I always hear, do you play the Vegas game too? That often when they're playing out there?
I run the Vegas game, bro.
Benefield's been trying to get me to show up now for Vegas for me is for drinking. I don't drink at all unless I'm in Vegas. I like going out every day. I like drinking. I'm not trying to go play fucking ball at UNLV at 9-10 in the morning. So
yeah, it's tough sometimes. Like, especially if you're grinding poker so much, like it's pretty tough to get out there. But yeah, I kind of like the last couple of years, I've kind of like phased out of actually like running the game because I stopped showing up so much, Yeah. So yeah, Dave actually was like, kind of running the game a little more since I wasn't showing up so much.
Now it makes more sense. I feel like, I swear to God, the guy texted me like 10 days in a row. I'm like, do you like, why do you still want me to come so bad? Now, if he's running the game, that makes sense. So, okay.
I mean, he's crazy sometimes. I feel like he just comes to Vegas because of the basketball game.
I'm very positive he comes to Vegas just to play basketball. I'm not kidding you, dude. He's great. He's insane, man. Yeah, every day he's like, wants to play basketball 17 hours a day, it seems like, and then go in the cryo tank after and freeze there, and then go back and play the next day, man. He's
intense.
People in chat want to know about the dog. The dog. Oh my God. So the dog. So what? Did you change the rule of Rio? Now they let everyone has a dog in there, and like people got to post their dog on social media. Like, what's up with the dog? What's the story of the dog here?
What do you want to know, man? His name is Marshmallow. He's a champion.
He's a champion, huh? So is it? I read something about, what is it? Potential anxiety. Is that what it is about? Is that what it was?
The dog is not he's not service for me. He's service for Natasha, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think people thought the dog was a service dog for you, and then
somebody put that in like some article or whatever, and I didn't like feel like telling them to change it or whatever. I was just like, all right, I guess maybe some people will think that that he's my service dog, but yeah, no, he's actually Natasha's. She had him for a few years before we ever started dating.
So the dog is it helps with anxiety for her? I guess it's probably a common thing then.
Yeah, it's a fairly common thing, and yeah, it's not too difficult to get the dog like certified as a service dog. So,
oh, interesting. I mean, I'm sure it'd probably help a lot of people out there. If people are out there, something to look into for sure. I mean, shit, it could be something.
It's definitely good for like flying. You know, like from the standpoint of, I'm saying you don't have to like pay for the dog when the dog is service. So you definitely like save a bunch of money by having the dog being service instead of regular.
GTO right there, puppy. GTO life hack here. Let me see what else questions we got. Yuma says service dogs are the new weed. I guess it could be, sure. Let's see here. Let me see some of these other comments in here. Oh my God. Stop it. No. How does Craig Bell says, how does gambling for a living affect your faith?
Ooh. Well, I would say that there's definitely a lot more temptation than there would be like as you know, if I was just like working a normal job or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's hard to get to go to church as much, but yeah, it's something that you have to just continue to work on, and you know, just as long as you keep your moral values the same, it's not too difficult.
So what do you mean by that? So keep your moral values the same in terms of what?
In terms of like, well, I mean, obviously, like, you know, gambling for a living, there's a lot of spots where you could lie, steal, cheat, you know, like these are things that are obviously like, they go against like, first of all, moral code of like being a good human, but also like, you know, they're very important as far as like, you know, your faith and being like a good Christian. So, that's kind of what I'm saying is like, just sort of definitely not like, just not being a bad person, I guess, is, you know, there's a lot of more opportunities to sort of do bad things in the gambling than there would be in like a regular job. You know what I mean? Well,
after having Sorrel Mizzy on the pod a couple weeks ago, we talked all about this kind of stuff. So I know exactly what you mean, Jason. We talked about these type of things. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. And there certainly is a lot of areas out there potentially to exploit the system a little bit, especially in live poker in these home games and spots like that. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can get out of line. There's a lot of lines you could potentially skirt. And have you ever got something like that happen? Somebody cheated you in a game, or you found out something like that was going on?
Yeah, I have. A couple different circumstances. I'm pretty sure that I got cheated on like in one of the open face apps that first came out, and then also I got cheated in a home game once as well.
So I guess from that standpoint, moving like now, how do you prevent? You know, like what precautions do you take to avoid that in the future? In terms of
one good way is to not play home games in general. Just because like it's so much easier to get cheated in those than, you know, in a casino, it's basically impossible. So, and then, gosh, I think Marshmallow farted.
Bang, bang. Bang, bang.
Bang, bang. Yeah, exactly. I just was like, what is that?
Calm down, Marshmallow, for fuck's sakes, dog.
Yeah, geez. But then also as far as like, you know, playing on an open face app, or like, you know, in any circumstance, like if you're playing against somebody where you're both dealing and you're playing open face, you obviously want to make sure that this is someone that you trust. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to just like meet somebody and they're like, hey, oh, you want to play open face? Here, I'll post like 50,000 with you. And then all of a sudden you're playing against them, and it's like, okay, well, in a lot of spots, they're just likely to be cheating or trying to take some sort of angle.
That makes sense. Let me see what in the chat. You have any Viffer stories? People in the chat, they love Viffer stories here on the podcast.
Viffer?
Viffer, David Pete Viffer, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I know who Viffer is.
Do you? I mean,
where's he been? The last,
according to 2+2 NVG, he's been playing 5-5 at a casino. I don't know if this was maybe a year ago. It might be an old thread. I'm not sure. It was maybe a joke thread. I don't know. But yeah, wow. I don't know where he's at. Yeah.
I don't really have any good Viffer stories.
Just general, yeah. People, I think like Lex told a couple Viffer stories, and then someone else told a really good Viffer story. I think Haralbob told a Viffer story too. And then ever since then, people just love Viffer stories. But it seems like many other people don't really have that many exciting Viffer stories to share. So it could have just been.
I don't have any really.
Do you have a Jungleman story?
Ooh, Jungleman. Well, I did see Jungleman this year throw cards at Dmitri Urbanovich's face in a cash game. And Dmitri is like one of the
quiet, nice kid.
Quiet, nice, calm kid. I mean, I think he rolled over like we were playing Limit Omaha in Australia. Well, we were playing a mix, but the game was Limit Omaha. And I think like Dmitri like flopped the nut straight, and it like held in some huge pot where he was like check raise Jungleman, where I think he flopped the wheel. It was like ace deuce 5 or something, and Jungleman obviously had a set of aces. And Dmitri like, you know, completes the bet call and is like nuts, rolls it over, and Jungleman like whips the cards at his face. And I was just like, what are you doing, bro? Like, if you ever did that to me, I promise you I'll punch you right in the face, like immediately. You know, do not ever think about doing that to me. And why are you doing that to Dmitri? Like, he didn't do anything to you, you know?
So what did he say? What does he say back to that?
Yeah, I'm just so tilted. It's like, it's just crazy. He does those things, but it's very strange because he doesn't really tilt. Like, he tilts from the standpoint of like going mentally crazy, but he doesn't tilt from like, it doesn't affect his play. He just keeps playing like exactly the same, even though he's like ready to kill somebody.
Yeah, he talks about that on the podcast a couple times. He never tilts. He doesn't actually start playing bad. He's angry, but it doesn't affect his play in any sort of way.
Yeah, it's actually impressive, because if I like punch myself in the face, I feel like I wouldn't be able to play the same. You know?
I don't know. Maybe that should be a test. Maybe you should punch yourself in the face during a next. Yeah, just like could be something. What if you did a prop bet where you have to? Seriously, what if you did a prop bet where you got to punch yourself in the face like every hour? You got to hit like 2 shots, like real hard shots to your face, and then you still got to try to. I mean, it could be something in the future, right?
I don't know if I could handle that.
I don't know. Oh man, what's that one? Does anybody inspire you? That's actually an interesting question.
Does anybody inspire me? Like
Anakar Cabrera says, what people inspire you? Yeah.
What people inspire me?
Bill Perkins inspires me. That's who I had him. This guy, I had him on the podcast the other day. After talking with him, he inspires me. That's the one person, Bill Perkins, for sure.
All right. I'll say Bill Perkins inspires me too. But no, I mean, like, I guess professional athletes, like guys that are able to just like compete at such a high level for so long, like Ichiro, for example, like just got his 3,000th hit. You know, I think that's like incredible. He's on the Marlins and he's pinch hitting, you know, and he's just like still producing, still hitting at a high batting average, you know.
Mhm.
Obviously, like I was pretty inspired by LeBron coming back from being down 3-1 and just having like an absolutely epic game 5, 6, 7 to win that series. And yeah, things like that, guys like that.
I was watching, the swimming Olympic was on last night. Michael Phelps was in there, and he basically he made up like 1.2 seconds, and he essentially gave the USA the win in the relay last night. And I'm just like, man, like what a fucking beast. He comes back. He dealt with so much adversity. He deals with retiring and to come back and to be able to have an impact and get them a gold medal. I mean, at like the highest level, that was just, man, it's pretty incredible. But for so long too, it's incredible.
I didn't get to watch that last night, but that I got to see a little bit on Twitter, and I mean, it's just incredible. That what is that, like his 6th Olympics or something? I mean, it's like maybe it's his 5th.
I'm not sure how many it is. I think it's 4 or 5, and I think it was his 19th gold medal. 19th.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so ridiculous. He's definitely been an inspiration for a lot of people, and I mean, I think he's the most decorated Olympian now of all time, which is like, it's just pretty incredible what he's been able to do. Speaking of the dog, here he is.
Hello, dog. Nice to meet you. What's up,
bro? What's up?
What's up, puppy? You got a girlfriend or what, man? Or
no, he's on doggy Tinder every day.
Is that a thing? Does he ever go like couples dogs or something? Is there something for that?
I'm just kidding, bro.
You could, I don't know, man. Oh man! All right, Jason. Who do you think I should get on the podcast, man? I know you. I don't think you watch podcasts at all.
Not really, bro. They're kind of long,
That's true. They're very long. I got a plan though. Believe me, I got a plan. I'm shortening up some episodes of podcast out there. I'll be putting them out there. But if I'm gonna get 1 or 2 people on, who do you suggest that I have on that would be entertaining or people would enjoy hearing from?
I'm trying to think. Have you ever had Mustafa Kanit on?
No, I have not. I have not had Mustafa Kanit on.
He's pretty hilarious, but it might be tough for people to understand him.
He's from what
he's
country?
From Italy.
Italy. Oh,
well, he speaks Italian, but I mean, like, he's pretty hilarious, and he's also one of the best no limit tournament players in the world. But if you want, I could try to hook you up with him. See if he'd be interested.
Yeah, his name has been very, very popular amongst people suggesting he comes on too. I think I've seen him one time. I may have been actually naked when I saw him. Don't ask why. Oh no, I had I had something on. It was from PCA. A bunch of us went skinny dipping in the ocean, and then as we were walking back to the cove, I believe he was behind us with some people. And I'm like, and then I think they said like, "What's up, Poppy? What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know, guys. I was fucked. We were a little drunk. May have been some alcoholic beverages consumed at the time." So. Oh man, I love PCA. I'm in. I'm ready for next year. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to spend that $10,000 on the cove, and I'm ready to walk that 2-mile walk to the poker room and back. Man, I'm looking forward.
I'm looking forward to PCA as well.
Hopefully the weather's a little better this year. So you got plan here. So you got Barcelona. You got the WCOOP. That's it. What else you got in store for the rest of this year?
Well, I'm probably gonna go sweat the November 9. I have a piece of Jerry Wong, who actually made the November 9, and he's kind of short, so I might go sweat the November 9, and probably gonna get married,
Mm-hmm.
So, no, we set our date, so we're getting married just before Thanksgiving. And besides that, gonna take it easy. Might go to Prague, might not, and then just restart everything again in the Bahamas.
Well, there it is, man. Do you have social media, a Snapchat or an Instagram for the fans out there?
I have Instagram. My Instagram is just real Jason Mercier.
Okay.
And I'm on Twitter and Facebook, but Snapchat, I actually just re-downloaded it a few days ago. I deleted it like maybe 3 years ago, maybe, when I couldn't take it. All these people sending me, It was when you had to like send them to like.
Yeah. You can definitely take that off now because I took that off first day. Why is it blurry? I took that off the first day. I was like, I can't handle all these random people sending me Snapchats like that. I don't even know who they are.
That's why I deleted it. And it was like when it got to the point where I was getting like 50 videos a day and 40 of them were like boring or not funny, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I can't take this app anymore, and I just deleted it. But apparently I should have waited until they finally updated it to the point where it was more user-friendly.
So do you want to tell people your Snapchat then? Or
I don't think I have a I don't think I have a name yet.
All right, no name yet. You want to follow Jason? He tweets out once in a while. He's got a good batting average these last tweets. He's been in the Fedor Holz school of learning how to tweet the most GTO things you can possibly tweet. and yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, Jay. It's been a long time here coming. Guys, I'll be back. You want to find this back? If you're on Twitch, you can watch these on my YouTube channel at Jungleman. Find it on iTunes. Search for The Poker Life. Follow Jason on Twitter. It's just at Jason Mercier, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll be back Friday with Liv Boeree, one of the most captivating women in the poker world. Behind Natasha, of course, right, Jason? Number 2, Liv. Number 1, Natasha.
It's definitely a close race for the power couple, but I think we edge them out, and Natasha might be number 1. She might pass Liv pretty soon.
Well, that's what I like to hear, man. I like that. And yeah, Friday Liv next week. I'm not sure of the schedule next week for sure. Hopefully we'll get Phil on one of those days, and we'll do a couple other podcasts next week. DFS week will be before week 1 NFL. That's all I have for sure lined up. Other people, I have a lot of tentative things. Felipe Ramos at some point in time too. The King of Brazil. That's it. I'm out, guys. Jason, peace out, man. Thanks for coming on the pod.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
All right. See you later.